Well, welcome in to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. My name is Landon, and you'll notice this handsome fellow beside me is finally back. Austin, welcome back to the show, man. We missed you. It's been way too long.
Listen, I know I missed 2 episodes, and it's been kind of crazy right now. Obviously, I'm in another setup. I just moved all my stuff yesterday, so I'm in the moving process. So things have been pretty hectic the past week, just trying to figure stuff out. I've been busy, but I'm glad to be back. I had to come back. I didn't want people to forget about me, so I'm glad to be back this time.
Well, we are certainly glad to have you back, and we'll talk about the transfer portal, talk about some of the incoming players Mississippi State received. Um, any way you look at it, Mississippi State's received some good news here over the last little bit. We'll talk about some of that. Talk about the big basketball win Mississippi State had over Memphis on Saturday. Then we will get into the playoff predictions kind of as we finish up. But here's what we have for Mississippi State. Well, before we get into some of the transfers, and State is about to have another one announced. By the time this is posted, he will have already announced it. But we'll get into that. But we do want to let you know that My Dogs Are Barking is brought to you in part, as always, by ARPA's Coffee Bar in Starkville. ARPA's is a great place for great food, drinks. It's best enjoyed in the company of friends and loved ones. Their awesome atmosphere creates a great backdrop for laughter, conversation, and great memories. Whether you're looking for a good spot to catch up over coffee, a great gathering place to celebrate special occasions, or just a great late night hangout spot, their friendly staff is dedicated to ensuring your experience is nothing short of exceptional. It's located in the heart of the Cotton District in Starkville. Mention that you're a listener of My Dogs Are Barking, and you get 15% off of your entire order. Not a bad deal, man. Go get you some really good coffee as it starts to get freezing cold here for Christmas time, and they even have some different Christmas specials. So make sure you mention us, get 15% off. And Austin, we talk a lot about being rich, but only when it comes to the context of those who might help us, like Mr. Skip Langley. What does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Mississippi Edward Jones advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843, and together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Austin, Mississippi State has gotten some news in the transfer portal. Some help is on the way over the past couple of days. Let's see, I guess the one we'll kind of go backwards. Mississippi State added defensive a linebacker from Texas a couple of days ago in Gillette, who we mentioned last week's show. Then also just added defensive lineman Jeray Bledsoe, the former 4-star from the University of Texas. And Bledsoe, I think that the biggest knock on him is in his time that he's played in Texas, he's only registered 2 tackles and played in 3 total games. That's kind of the biggest thing that people are not happy about. But he's a former 4-star guy. A lot of potential, but I mean, quite literally just 2 tackles in 3 years. That's disappointing when it comes to production and bringing him in, but he's a guy that obviously has some talent. It's just, will State be able to get anything from that? And then another person that will be should be making it known by now, but that's going to be Darren Reed, defensive lineman from Auburn, who was a former top 250 recruit with 0 stats from last season. So you have 2 defensive linemen that are physical specimens, but like nothing in terms of production, nothing doing there, which continues the long awaited wonder of like what's going on with David Turner and some of the guys he's bringing in. We'll talk about the other 2 guys first, but what are your thoughts on these 2?
Yeah, I mean, obviously defensive lineman was, I mean, that was number one that we had to touch on this offseason in the portal. Obviously, I mean, they were unbelievably bad during the season. It was so bad. And, the fact that we're just getting more bodies in that room, I think is a good thing. But I mean, to be honest, Red Hibbler, is there, but obviously he only played in 4 games this year. So how good is he going to be in the SEC? We don't really know. I mean, he really couldn't pan out, to be honest. So we'll have to see about him. But I mean, obviously, I think we're going to be better this year as long as we don't, get in a big injury bug in that room, kind of like last year, like we did. But I mean, we're going to have a lot more depth. But I mean, there's not hadn't been a really name or a guy that has really stood out to me. I mean, a lot of guys, I would much rather have group of 5 guys that have proven themselves than these guys that have just been sitting on the bench for years and years and years, and maybe they just have 1 or 2 more years of eligibility and they're just trying to find somewhere else to go. I feel like we need some more proven guys that can prove that they can compete like actually on the field, and instead of just getting these names from the big schools. But I could be completely wrong, and maybe they were just the greatness of Texas and the greatness of other schools have just I mean they might just be the second best player on their lineup, so that's okay. So maybe they pan out. I'm hoping they do. Hopefully David Turner knows what he's doing, because he's gotten a lot of hate over the last month. He's gotten a whole lot of hate. So hopefully, he's fighting for his job right now. And this offseason, he's fighting for his job. So he's got to be. I mean, he's got to turn this room around. And the more people we get in that room, I think the better.
Yeah, and Red Hibbler, I mentioned, the NC State transfer. He appears he'll probably play on the edge. So you have him on the edge, and you'll have one of these guys being nose guard. They also got Big Diesel, Jamarcus Moy, who's I think a JUCO guy. So I don't know, man. I'll put it this way: there's a lot more people for competition. So, like, State should be able to find one of these guys to say, okay, here's the person. As opposed to last season, I mean, State had a backup defensive lineman from Purdue, who ended up being one of their better defensive linemen. But even then, that's not saying a lot, So it appears, at least now, they have got some depth to figure out, if any of these guys are going to pan out. It is frustrating, like, thinking about, man, no one has any sort of production. But I'll say this: Darren Reed, the guy from Auburn, originally was going to LSU. He flipped at the last second to go to Auburn. So really talented guy. And again, he has not made anything official, so I'm gonna feel like Boo Boo the Fool if he ends up making a last second split. But that's where things appear as of while we're recording this. State also added former 4-star center Kobe Keenum, the transfer from Kentucky. I really like this pack. This guy. This is a good pickup. Guy went to Mars Hill Mars Hill Bible School. Anyway, Mars Hill in Alabama, and was a really, really good player in high school. Went to Kentucky. Things just didn't work out. He was a backup at Kentucky, and there's the portal. Lands at Mississippi State. Even though he was a backup at at Kentucky, and he's going to be a younger player, he's got an opportunity to start for State. State brought in several different centers, and it just none of them seemed to be the kind of fit the bill for what they were looking for. So he might end up being a guy that starts even as a very young guy, unless there's somebody else. Here's the guy I wanted to ask you about, Austin. State got a tight. This is just so baffling. Got tight end Emeka Ola, who is a 6'9", 260 pound center. Who allegedly, I mean, it is, the rankings are what they are, is the number 1 tight end in JUCO for what it's worth. But you'll never guess this. He didn't play this year. He did not play this year. He played last season. He seems like he's going to be used a lot for blocking. What are your thoughts, Austin? It's good because, hey, the number 1 guy in JUCO signs with State. He didn't play at all this year.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good. I mean, if you look at all of our signees, he's, kind of in the middle of the pack. But, I mean, if you look at our tight end room, we don't have, we got Bball, who didn't play. I mean, he didn't play at all last year. Obviously, Sadie Traore, obviously going to be the number 1 tight end. We lost Jordan Bball, the, number 84, who was our backup tight end, who played a good bit this year. So we're kind of, we don't have a whole lot of talent, to be honest, just saying. We got Ja'Cory Whitted, who was a signee last year. But other than that, we don't really have a whole lot of talent. We're still trying to rebuild that room for the air raid. Obviously, we didn't even use tight ends, and so that's been a mess. So this guy might play a good bit, even though he's not very proven. Obviously, not even playing it down last year. Obviously he's not very proven, and what better way to prove yourself in the SEC? So we'll see. Traore is not a great blocker at all. So it's going to be a kind of, if he does be the backup tight end, I mean, that could be a very good thing, that he's going to be more of a blocking guy, because I don't see a 6'9" guy. I mean, maybe he's just unbelievably fast, and maybe that's why he's the number 1 tight end, but I just don't see that. So obviously, I think it would be a good, number 2 tight end for this year. But I mean, like I said, with everybody, and I said this, during the season, I mean, anybody we get is going to be helpful for this team, because this team needs A lot of work. Even if you watched one
Bingo.
game last year, yeah, this team needs a lot of work, and a lot of guys have left. I don't know if anybody has else noticed that, but obviously all the seniors left, but the transfer portal guys are leaving too. So this roster needs a whole lot of work, and
Right.
anybody we can get,
Well, you
we'll
said
take
it.
them.
You got to think about it. I mean, State was 2-10, man. Like, you need players, and so people that are overly critical, on one hand, I get it, but you really think about it. Like, you're talking people into going, especially everybody thinks they're going to the NFL. Everybody thinks, man, I just got to do good this year and I'm going, they think they got to go fit into a winning team to get there. Like, 2-10 is a hard sell. And then watching the defense, any highlights at all, like what's Coleman Hutzler going to do? Be like, there's not a lot of clips where he can go, here's where we sacked the quarterback, this could be you. You know what I mean? Like, give me a break. It's like, why the recruit's going to be like, why are all these against Eastern Kentucky? Where did y'all not get anything in any other game? So it's a tough sell for anything. But and again, Darren Reed has not formally announced that, but I think that's a good pickup. Regardless, he didn't do anything at Auburn this past season, but I think he'd be the highest rated. He'd be the highest rated defensive lineman that there was, interior defensive lineman that there is. So. Need somebody to kind of blow up the middle there. Except a big diesel, Jamarcus Moy. Also, State still looking for a running back. Had Wayman Jordan, number 1 overall running back in JUCO, visit 2 days ago, and then yesterday, Fluff Bothwell, the University of South Alabama running back, visited. Both of those are really good. I mean, you can't really go wrong. I think Fluff is probably the better player because he's already played, at Division I and done really well. He's visiting Ole Miss today. So you never know there. He said he's going to announce Christmas Day. So we'll see if State gets a Christmas gift or not. But I don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling about it. But that's for State recruiting, and we're about to have a shutdown period here for a little bit, a dead period. So I won't really hear anything. But something to keep in mind for State fans. State did not have Kevin Coleman last season or Davon Booth until January. So at this point in time, like, even though the State's not really picked up a number 1 receiver, they didn't even get the guys that made the most production on their offense until January of last season. So keep that in mind for State kind of going forward, that there's still, a lot of players out there. I wanted to turn attention to Mississippi State basketball, Austin. The Dogs picked up a really big win yesterday. I'm going to see if I can go ahead and share my screen. If you're watching on YouTube, then you are in luck. If you are not, I do apologize. But State picked up the win yesterday. As we look at this box score, are you able to see, Austin?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. If we can load here, there we go. State got some production from guys other than Josh Hubbard. Hubbard still, I mean, he didn't have a bad game, but wasn't overly efficient. In this game, RJ Melendez was efficient, played really well on defense. Cam Matthews, of course, is the glue that holds everything together. Almost had a double-double there. We're not able to get a lot of production from Nwoko or Claudel Harris, but Keyshawn Murphy made a big difference in that game. Sean Jones was huge, and then the player of the game, man, Riley Kugel, was excellent. And as you see, the thing you notice with his stats is he does a lot of things well. He rebounds, he blocks. Like, he can do several things very well. And so I'm thankful for State to be able to have a guy like that they can turn to. But honestly, man, I mean, look at the first half. It's 48-32 in the first half. State was really, really doing well, and they held the win. I mean, Haggerty's a really good player. Other than that, Memphis had some guys that were really, really struggling throughout the game. But State gets a really big win on the road, Austin, and it ends up, I believe, as of this morning, they are 11 in the net in the nation. That's a huge win. It's a quad one win over a Memphis team that is a good team, and is going to be a team that's in a tournament later on. What do you think? What do you kind of take from Mississippi State being able to get a huge win like that on the road?
Yeah, watching that game yesterday was so fun. And I mean, for the people who did not watch the game, we only won by 13. Do not let that trick you. We beat the brakes off of them. Like, it was never competitive the entire game. I mean, never. I mean, it was like, even in the start of the game, it was like 13-5. Then it was like, we just kept After that, we just took a massive jump and we beat the brakes off of them the entire game. And then they never really put in their backup. We put in guys that have barely been playing all year, and they don't really have a whole lot of depth. They just have a lot of talent, really, in their starting lineup. You saw one guy play 37 minutes, one guy played 35 minutes. So they were just running, kind of trying to get that score a little back during the second half of the game. But when there was just no glimpse of coming back, that was a massive game. And last year, if you would have told me that we would have played Memphis and Josh Hubbard would have scored 13 points, I would have said, oh, we would have lost. But this year's entirely different. We have a lot of talent on this team, a lot more than last year. Keyshawn Murphy has made a giant step up, and we didn't have Riley Kugel last year. Riley Kugel yesterday showed why he was such a proven guy, and with 19 points in the biggest game so far this season. And we need him to step up in SEC play. We got to be we have so much depth, and we got to use that depth the entire SEC play because, we're not playing any scrubs. The SEC is unbelievable. Literally unbelievable this year. It's historic how good they are so far.
I want to share my screen and go through Mississippi State's schedule. Also, will you kind of narrate and go through as I'm going through the schedule? I'm going to share the screen real quick.
Yeah. It's going to be a very tough schedule. These teams are unbelievable. Let's see. Just starting out with South Carolina. South Carolina, I think, record-wise, might be the worst in the SEC. I think they have 3 losses, but they've still been unbelievable. Kentucky, number 4, and then we go at Auburn, and this schedule is unbelievable. Florida is ranked number 7. Obviously, Ole Miss being number 17. A&M being number 12. This is the best the SEC has been so far, maybe ever. This is unbelievable. This schedule is going to be a wild ride. Every single game is going to be a massive game. If we can go 500 in SEC play, if we can go 9-9 in SEC play, we're chilling. We're chilling because and people that don't really know too much about it, they may be like 9-9. That doesn't sound good. The SEC is unbelievable. And even if we do win 9 games, they're going to be impressive games to win because almost every game in the SEC is an impressive win. Let's be honest, even at home or on the road. This is unbelievable. And, we got to get it done against Bethune-Cookman. I'm going to be honest. We got to get it done. I think they kept it close with Virginia like a week or two ago. So we got to get that done. But then once we get into SEC play, it's going to be a wild ride. And I look forward to talking about it. But that Memphis game was a great indicator that, the Dogs are legit. The Dogs have a very high ceiling. And the Dogs, if they keep playing like that, we're going to get a good seed in the tournament. I'm very excited for the upcoming SEC play.
Yeah, and what's crazy is over the last 5 games, do you want to guess how many different players have been the leading scorer over the last 5 games? Man. Like, you don't have to say the name, just like the number of players that have been different scores.
Last 5 games.
Or if it's been the same.
Like, I'm going to say 3.
Believe it or not, 5. There's been the different. Yeah, it was Murphy, Hubbard, Melendez, Harris Jr., Kugel.
That's awesome because, if you remember in the tournament, Josh Hubbard did not, he played, he was still Josh Hubbard, but he was not very good just because everybody, Tom Izzo knew it was Josh Hubbard or bust for the Bulldogs. So if we can get stuff like, we can get Riley Kugel to step up, Keyshawn Murphy to step up, Claudio Harris to get hot, because that's another guy. He could have 0 points or he could have 20 points. He's like, you talk about boomer bust Booth, it's boomer bust Claudell. And that guy he's either on it, like just totally on it, cannot miss a 3, or that man can't hit it's insane. I've never seen anything like it when it comes to Mississippi State, like shooting, who is just like, he is dead shot. Next night cannot hit a shot. It's crazy. So if he can get hot one night, it's awesome to have this much depth. It really is.
Yeah, I was trying to think about it. When was the last time a team that was from Mississippi State was this deep in terms of the amount of players who can score? And it's been a really long time. Like, I think about that team that made the Quindary team for State back in 2018 or 19 that made the tournament. That had him, that had the other Nick Witherspoon,
Lamar Peters.
Those were decent teams. I think this team would beat them because this team has Cam Matthews, Keyshawn Murphy. You know, there's just several players that can. Riley Kugel is just an overall very good. This was like the game that we go, okay, see, there's Kugel. He can put it all together. And we will actually be covering in person. My dogs are credentialed for Bethune-Cookman and start on the 30th. And then SEC play starts. And you know, you think about it, the first 21 days, you got Kentucky at home, you got at Auburn, you got Ole Miss at home, and you got at Tennessee. The first 21 days, along with South Carolina and Vanderbilt. So big opportunities for State. I'm with you. I think if State goes 9-9, I mean, I think they're a 6 seed in the tournament. They're a 7 seed in the tournament. It's something like that. I think you just don't want to be an 8 seed. That's really my main thing. You don't want the 8-9 because they're so interchangeable that you just saw what happened last season, you know. So that's one thing you want to avoid. But right now, I think if it was played today, they'd be a 5 seed, and in some scenarios even better than that. So, but man, we're a long way because I mean, there's a long SEC season ahead, and it is the deepest that this thing has ever been, you know. So we'll see. Also, having to go on the road at Tennessee is going to be a bummer on the 21st of January. That's going to be a really hard game. I know they will want to win. So, all right, that is Mississippi State basketball. We will take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about the college football playoff for the games that are upcoming. I hope you guys are having a very Merry Christmas. Hope it's a wonderful time, wonderful week with your family. We will be right back after this ad.
All MPW digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital.
My dogs are barking on MPW Digital. Austin, the college football playoff has already started. I guess now that I realize this is an outdated bracket look, because we've got Notre Dame took down Indiana in a game that really was not very close, but at the end they made it a little closer. None of these games were close now that I say that. Texas took down Clemson by multiple scores, by 2 touchdowns. Penn State beat SMU by, I think, 25. And then Ohio State, oh my goodness gracious, they destroyed Tennessee. I don't think any of us thought these games were going to be this far apart. I really thought these teams were closer in skill. Honestly, I thought Tennessee was going to do what Ohio State did to Tennessee. I thought they were going to be able to run away with it. What were takeaways, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, it was a guy who, I've really looked forward to these games. And, yeah, I mean, you can say there really was not one good game. I mean, Clemson and Texas was fun to watch. I mean, it was fun. Just those teams would never play each other. It was really cool seeing that. And that game was, pretty competitive. But, I mean, every other game was just like, I mean, what are we doing? The first quarter, Tennessee, Ohio State, I was like, this is insane. And Tennessee was able to make it, make it a little bit more of a game. But I mean, none of these games were like, fourth quarter, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, what's going to happen? I mean, it was kind of embarrassing. But this second round is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit different. I'm really excited to see the second round and how this plays out. But the first round was pretty underwhelming. So, for the first 12-team playoff, it wasn't. I'll say it. The first round was not very good, but the second round, you got other teams. You got Georgia. You got Cam Scatabo and the Arizona State. I mean, you got a lot of other teams, and so hopefully it makes it a little bit different to keep up with. And so I'm hoping the games are. Hopefully the games will be a little bit better. I mean, you got Ohio State, Oregon. You got a lot. Penn State, Boise State. That should be an interesting game. Notre Dame, Georgia. So there's a little bit more interesting games. I feel like I feel very positive, and I feel good about saying that these games will be a little bit closer. For sure.
Yeah, and you got the first game is going to be on the 31st, Christmas Eve. This New Year's Eve will be so awesome. It's Penn State and Boise State. Penn State, as you see, is favored by 10.5 over Boise. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and pick this whole thing through, man. On the 31st, you got Penn State and Boise State. Penn State looked really good, and I'll be honest, I did not see that happening. I think Boise State's going to struggle to run the football as effectively against a team like Penn State. I know that they ran the ball fairly well against Oregon. That was earlier in the year. Penn State's going to scheme for Genty, and it's a lot better competition. So I'm going Penn State in this game. I think they covered the 10.5 as well. What do you think?
Yeah, me as well. Drew Aller is not very. I mean, he's not a very good quarterback. I would say he really struggled yesterday. Not really struggled, but he's just not that great. But I don't think it will matter. I really don't think it will matter. I think Penn State obviously is easily. Like you said, Boise State did play Oregon, but this is a match, and this is the second round of the college football playoff. This isn't some regular season game, and so I think Penn State will be able to win. I think James Franklin is getting very lucky with these two games, and Kevin Jennings gave Penn State the game. Let's be honest. I mean, that was rough. It was really nothing James Franklin did. It was all Kevin Jennings. And then the same with this. I mean, him getting to play Boise State in the second round, I think he's getting lucky. I'm going to take Penn State.
The second game is on the very next day, on New Year's Day, Texas and Arizona State. Texas is favored by 14 points. Texas offensively looked like they had it all. Texas running the ball really, really well. Man, I really like Arizona State, but I feel like this one's close. They won by 14 over Clemson. I really, really like Arizona State, man. I really do. But I just don't see a scenario where they're deep. Like if Sam Leavitt has to get into a shootout, it's not going to happen. I don't think Arizona State's been in a game like that this season. So I'm going with Texas, but I don't. That 14 might be right on the money. Like I could just see them kind of coming in late. But I think Arizona State can cover that number and be within 14 points. I don't think if it comes down to being a shootout, Sam Leavitt has it over Ewers.
Yeah, I mean, Ewers yesterday was not at 100%. I don't know if you saw, but he was wearing an ankle brace. Like at first he said he was not going to be wearing it, and then they get on the field to warm up, and he's like, it doesn't feel right. So before the game, he puts on an ankle brace, so he wasn't at 100%. And then they're getting almost 2 weeks to rest that ankle. So I'm taking Texas. Honestly, I might take them over 14. I think that this Texas team's they're gonna be playing good. I think that this might be a blowout, or not a blowout, but for a playoff game blowout. I think they might win by 20 plus. I'm feeling good about Texas. Arizona State, if they stop Cam Scatabo, which is easier said than done, but if they can do that, I feel like they can really limit this Arizona State team. And this Arizona State team, can their defense hold up against that Texas explosive offense? I don't know. I don't see it. Give me Texas.
Okay, we'll go quick for these last two here. All right, Notre Dame, Georgia. I'm not going to spend a ton of time going over this one. I'm just going to go ahead and just tell you outright. I think Notre Dame's winning this game. Go for it.
I don't know. Gunnar Stockton obviously is the X factor in this game. It's going to be very, very important to see how he can play. Give me Georgia. I'm saying they're going to hold up. Notre Dame, I don't know. This game isn't at Notre Dame. They're not getting that that same experience. Give me Georgia. Gunnar Stockton's going to find a way. He was very highly rated, and give me Georgia. I got Georgia.
Okay. The next one, the rematch between between Ohio State and Oregon. Oregon won the first game very, very close. Right now, it's Ohio State favored by 3 points. I got to tell you, I think Ohio State gets their revenge. I really liked how they played. Everybody's talking about, Brian Day and the controversy, and Brian Day wins a lot of games, man. Ohio State has got a crazy amount of talent. I'm going Ohio State.
I'm glad that you say this. I agree. I don't like the bye weeks, to be honest. I mean, each team, I mean, this is, January 1st. Each team, I mean, Ohio State's getting a 2-week break too. But I mean, that's like what Oregon's going to go, I think, 3 weeks, maybe over 3 weeks without playing a game of football. I think that's going to hurt them. I really do. Neutral site game. Give me Ohio State too. I think that, the people that say Ryan Day, like extend Ryan Day and they're being funny, I think that's goofy. This guy wins games. He's not beating Michigan, but where's Michigan at? They're in the ReliaQuest Bowl. This man is about to be playing the number 1 team in the second round of the playoff. Let's be honest. Ryan Day is a great coach. With Chip Kelly called a great game last night after that absolutely stinker against Michigan. I think that they bounce back and they beat this Oregon team that's been, sitting on the couch for 3 weeks.
I think that's good analysis. All right. In fewer than 10 words, Austin, Texas and Ohio State. Who you got?
Fewer than 10 words. I don't know. That's Texas or Ohio State. Just by first glance, if Quinn Ewers can stay healthy, give me Texas. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see how Ohio State really looks against Oregon, but just give me Texas.
Ohio State wins this game. Maybe badly. I think that was about 10 words. All right, Ohio State wins that game. Is my thoughts there. All right, Penn State. And you have Penn State in Georgia. I have Penn State in Notre Dame in that game, which, man, that'd be such a fun matchup. Who do you have in Penn State and Georgia?
So I completely forgot about that 10 words. I don't know. This is, dude, I'm gonna say it. Give me Georgia. I might need to rethink this. Penn State is this never been a more fraudulent team than James Franklin is absolute fraud when it comes to big games. He ain't beating Georgia with Gunnar Stockton, let me tell you.
Dude, you're crazy. Georgia's not even gonna get there, first off. Second off, the biggest fraud is Indiana. I mean, God bless them, but I'm sorry. We said all season long. Anyway, I'm not gonna get on that.
Indiana caught a stray.
They did. I mean, anyway, no, I'm not going to get into it. I think if it comes down to Penn State and Notre Dame, I think I'm going with Notre Dame again, man. They have gotten so much better since the very beginning. And if you were to tell me that I'd have Notre Dame in the national title, I would not have believed it, especially after Northern Illinois. But also, I just want to say this, like before we even get into the picking the national championship, this is the reason why overreacting is so old. Marcus Freeman lost to Northern Illinois. Everyone's like, they need to let him go. Obviously, you just need to let him go. They stuck with it. The team got better. By the end of the year, Marcus Freeman is being talked about as like the possible new head coach for the Chicago Bears, other NFL jobs. He's led them to a playoff win. Who knows where they go? But like, we got to take a breath. Okay, so that's Ohio State. And you have it being Ohio State versus Georgia for the national championship. I have it Ohio State versus Notre Dame. I'll keep it short again. Ohio State wins it all, and good for Ohio State wins it all. Good for Ryan Day. 6-7 words, something like that.
So I think Texas is going to beat Ohio State. I really do, and so I'm going to say Texas.
Oh, that's
Georgia
right.
In a rematch, and I'm saying Texas is gonna they're gonna somehow Steve Sarkisian is gonna find a way to finally beat Georgia this season. I'm saying Texas.
That's the third game they played, right?
Yeah, there's gonna be the third time SEC championship regular season,
wow.
and if they do play the national championship, so it's gonna be a fun playoff. I'm excited.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully this second half is a little bit better. Just bad stuff on the front end, but some stuff to look forward to. And then we're going all out on basketball, man. A lot of basketball. Very, very excited about that, to cover that for MPW Digital, for Mississippi State, for MPW Digital. Looking forward to it, man. Hey, also make sure you are following us on Twitter. It's just at MyDawgsPod. Make sure you're subscribed to MPW Digital on everything. 10.7K subscribers, really awesome. And man, we hope everybody has such a very Merry Christmas, man. I hope it's such a great time with family and friends, and You get to just enjoy time with one another, because that's the most important thing, man. Being able to spend time with your family, your crazy part of your family. And I was thinking about it, Austin. If you don't think you have a crazy part of your family, you might be the crazy part of your family. If there's no, aunt, Joanna or something that's crazy, you actually might end up being the crazy aunt, the crazy uncle. So just being self-aware is very important. But yeah, man, we thank you guys so much for listening to us. We're going to take off for the week of for Christmas. And so after this is posted, you will not hear from us for a minute. After probably be about the 30th, 31st, we'll kind of recap Mississippi State basketball, recap the portal, and then also recap the first games after the new year. So make sure you keep up with us on Twitter, because that's where we'll be posting most of our stuff there. So thank you guys, as always, for listening to the My Dogs Are Barking podcast. And Merry Christmas. Enjoy some time with your fam. We'll see you next time.